Today, we're going to expose the smoking guns behind one of the most powerful industries on the planet. We're going inside the tobacco industry's secret, dirty little war. And it all starts with a headline that seems pretty simple at first.
So it all kicks off with this. When you see the people at the very top of a company, the insiders, start selling off their shares, you gotta ask yourself, right? What do they know that the rest of us don't?
And we are not talking about a little bit of pocket change here. This is $44 million. That's how much stock insiders at Philip Morris International have sold off in just the last year. A number that big, well, it's screaming something. It's telling a story.
But here's the thing. This isn't really a story about stock prices. Think of that $44 million as a key. It's the key that unlocks the door to a much darker, much more brutal story. A story happening way behind the scenes, far from any trading floor. Okay, so to really get what's going on here, you have to understand the battlefield. And for the tobacco industry, that battlefield is shrinking, fast. And when things get tight, the fight gets desperate. The source material for this explainer uses this perfect metaphor. Picture the entire global market for smokers as one giant pizza. Now, for decades, public health campaigns have been chipping away at it, basically making that pizza smaller and smaller. And you know what happens when the pizza gets smaller, right? The fight over every last slice gets absolutely vicious. And this isn't just a theory. We've got the numbers to back it up. Let's take South Africa, for instance. The number of adult smokers there has just plummeted, down to around 16% from its peak in the 90s. That's a huge piece of the pizza just gone, and it really shows you how incredibly high the stakes are now.
So this shrinking market has basically split the industry into two warring camps. You've got the big boys on one side, we're talking the huge, established multinational giants, and then on the other side, you've got the new kids, these smaller, scrappier local companies who are fighting tooth and nail just to get a piece of what's left. But I want to be really clear here. This is not your typical business rivalry. No, this is an all-out war, and the tactics they're using, they are straight out of a spy movie. We're talking spies, lies, and full-blown sabotage. Listen to this quote from one of the smaller guys. It says it all. This isn't about fancy ad campaigns anymore. It's about playing in the mud. And down there, the line between corporate competition and just straight-up organized crime gets, well, it gets really, really blurry. I mean, just look at the weapons they're using in this war. It is absolutely wild. You've got corporate spies, double agents, illegal surveillance, planting tracking beacons on their competitors' trucks. They're even framing rivals with planted evidence and bribing government officials. This isn't a playbook for business. It's a playbook for a street fight. And this isn't some abstract idea. I want you to hear a real example from the source material. So to bug a competitor's truck, they would literally send a spy, and get this, sometimes dressed in an all-black catsuit, to sneak onto the property and plant a tracking device. Just like that, they had real-time intel on their rival's entire operation. And it gets even darker. This is an actual text message between a spy and her handler. They're talking about a state investigator. It just shows you how ruthless this gets. I mean, there are no rules. It's brutal.
So you might be thinking, okay, this is a dirty fight, but why should I care? It's just a bunch of cigarette companies going at it, right? Wrong. Because the real cost of this war, it isn't paid by them. It's paid by all of us.
A massive part of this war is fought simply by cheating the system. They have a whole playbook for it. We're talking about things like ghost exports, where they pretend to ship stuff overseas to dodge taxes, but then sell it locally. Or secretly disabling the machines that count how many cigarettes they make, so the taxman has no idea. They even counterfeit each other's brands to steal sales. And the scale of this tax dodging, it is staggering. By 2018, just one company, British American Tobacco, was in a dispute with the South African government for over 2 billion rand. Just think about that. That's money that should have been building roads, schools, hospitals. So the damage here goes way beyond just balance sheets. This corporate war spills out into the real world. It corrupts law enforcement. It rots state institutions from the inside. And the result is billions in lost public funds. At the end of the day, everybody pays the price for their secret war. And here's another one of those text messages from an operative talking about a competitor. This isn't just tough business talk. This is language meant to dehumanize. It really shows you the mindset here. They don't see their rivals as competitors. They see them as insects that need to be crushed. Now, it would be so easy to hear all this and think, wow, that's a crazy story happening in one country. But what if it isn't? What if what we're seeing in South Africa is actually just a window into a much, much bigger global pattern?
Because when you look at the history, this kind of behavior is nothing new for big tobacco. Go back to the 90s, you've got major brands paying over $1 billion in fines for smuggling in Canada, tens of billions in fines in the US. There is a very clear, decades-long pattern here of bending and breaking the rules whenever profits are at stake.
So the big takeaway here is this. Everything we've just talked about, the spies, the sabotage, the tax evasion, it's not an isolated incident. It's the playbook. The story out of South Africa is really just a case study, a perfect example of how this entire industry operates when the pressure is really on. And that leaves us with one last, kind of chilling question, doesn't it? If this, all of this, is what's happening in the fight for just one country's market, what in the world is happening everywhere else?